So when I have like hydraulics calculations on a drawing,
Mm-hmm.
so I try to take like a snapshot of what I have. Um, and then Dwayne came across something that might be interesting is there a way to actually get the calculation set on the drawing instead of having a snapshot?
Um,
Like, since we have like a sprinkler legend or some, stuff like that, is there something we could do for hydraulic calculations, or is there nothing yet?
there is, but it's not necessarily gonna look the same. The format is not gonna look the same as in the crystal report. Um, but there are a couple of tools, and you may already be aware of them. One is the remote area table, and the other is the riser tag. Both of which will populate the same information. So it'll populate the number of sprinklers calculated, your hose stream, the area of application, your safety margin, pressure and percentage, as well as density, K-factor, sprinklers. What it won't necessarily show is the minimum, so the most demanding, the 38 at 11.5 psi. I don't know that it will populate that. The riser tag might, but I don't believe the remote area table will. And I also am not entirely sure off the top of my head if the remote area table will populate the coverage per sprinkler. Whereas the riser tag, I think it might, but it's going to pull that information from the spacing values that you establish in your remote area properties, not specifically the coverage that you might establish in the properties of your sprinklers. But it certainly will populate the pressure demand, both total pressure demand at your water source as well as pressure demand at a base of riser if you've placed a checkpoint gauge. So let me quickly try and show you, if you can jump back to my screen.
Yep, I'm on yours. Because I know when I sent the drawing to Dwayne, he noticed it's a little bit fuzzy.
Sure.
And so I told him I could just zoom in closer when I take the snapshot.
Yeah, so basically what you've done is something like this, where you've got, and I don't know if it was the overview or the summary, but you've got something like this where you've taken, a snapshot, right? You've created like a little image. Excuse me.
Yep, I made it, actually went to the blue beam so that way I could zoom in instead of having to take like the snipping tool or whatever.
Sure, understood. So you've got something like this, and then I'll just copy this, and then back in your drawing, you've done something like this. Boom. Right?
Yep.
So the alternative to this would be to utilize either the remote area table, which again is going to populate all of the same information, hose allowance. We have the ability to turn off some of these. Quick response, I'm not applying that, but this is not a dry system, so I can shut that off, so I don't see this dry capacity row. But it's going to populate all of the same data except for coverage per sprinkler and this end head condition. Now, I think, let's just try this, if I do a riser tag, so the riser tag node location. So before I do that, let me first, so my base of riser is at my water supply, but let's say that I don't want that there. Instead, I want my base of riser to be at this T. And actually, I'm just going to shift this over and actually draw in some underground pipe here. And actually drop this down below grade. So that now I'm going to be populating a different pressure demand. I'm going to do it at my butterfly valve. A different pressure demand at my base of riser than the pressure demand at my source. Now placing this checkpoint gauge, making sure that it's set to base of riser, that will tell the program to populate demand data at this location. It will generate a new node tag here. I just want to add some information here. I'm going to make this, I'm going to make that longer. And I don't know, for the fun of it, I'll add some valves and junk. A couple of gate valves. Cool. Alright, so now, let me just update this. Okay, boom, it put a new node there where this pipe changes, and it put a node there where I've got this checkpoint gauge. So, the cool thing about that is when I update this mode area table, you can see now there's a difference between the pressure demand at the base of riser, including, so my flow demand is different too. So at my base of riser, I only need 303 GPM. But at my supply location, my water source location, fire hydrant, I need 553. So that includes my system demand plus the hose allowance. In addition to that, I need more pressure at my hydrant than I do at my base of riser. And that accounts for the pressure loss through elevation and frictional resistance through pipe and fittings of the underground. Now, if I utilize the riser tag, before I can place this riser tag, I need to tell the program where the riser tag node location is. So you can see down here, it's asking me select riser tag node location. Most of the time, this is going to be the same location where you've got your base of riser checkpoint gauge. Once you do that, then it's going to ask you where you want to place the riser tag in your drawing, and that can be anywhere. So this riser tag, it gives you a little more information. But again, I'm not seeing where it doesn't look like the program is populating in either one of these reports the end head condition or the coverage per sprinkler, which may or may not be a deal breaker for you. But the critical information, the area of application, the density, the pressure demand at the base of riser, pressure demand at the source, is all included in each of these. The riser tag, it includes even more information. It gives you the water supply information, so your flow test information here, in addition to what's required and your safety margin. Now the safety margin on this, as you can see on this riser tag, it's only giving you the pressure, not the percentage. So, there are pros and cons to each of these. Personally, I've never really used the riser tag much. I've only ever really used the remote area table. But there is another option, and this is probably the worst option that is available. But people use it. I have personally used it in the past. This calc tag. And the reason this is the worst approach is because you have to manually change all of this stuff. But this looks very, very similar to a placard, sticker or plate that you would hang up on your system riser. So a lot of people like this. I like this. Like I said, I've used this in the past. But again, there's some manual input that you have to specify here.
Right. And
So
it was something that I probably should implement, because we had something in AutoCAD, and then when I made that AutoCAD file into an AutoSPRINK file, we have like all our different details and everything.
sure.
We have on there the hydraulic. It looks like that calculation design criteria.
Sure.
And so he said, if I can't figure anything out, then that would be something that default to. But like you said, it's just something I have to manually input.
Yeah, unfortunately, I don't believe that there is a text field that's linked to any hydraulic demand data. If there was, that obviously would be awesome. But the trick would be, how do you tell the program to look at a specific remote area demand over another? So I think that's part
Right.
of the challenge of, creating some sort of, automatic text field function that could automatically populate data in a placard detail like this. You can see they started to try with job name. This will fill in whatever job name you've saved, but that's literally the only text field in this detail.
Right.
So
Okay.
those
Well,
are the three options. Again, this is mainly manual. These two are automatic. And again, it's going to contain almost all of the information that you would see on your reports, minus the coverage per sprinkler and the end head condition.